This week, we'll be talking about conflict in relationships. And when I'm speaking about conflict here, I really mean conflict between two people. Mostly we'll be focusing on romantic relationships, but this is really any two people. It can be your close relationships. It can honestly be coworkers. Again, we'll focus primarily on romantic relationships. What is conflict? Interpersonal conflict occurs whenever one person's motives, goals, beliefs, opinions, or behavior interfere with or are incompatible with those of another. So you'll notice here in this definition of interpersonal conflict, we don't say anything about an argument. We don't say anything about a fight. We don't say anything about yelling, disagreeing, or trying to get back at each other. Conflict occurs when one person's wishes or actions impede those of someone else. One partner gets in the way of the other. One partner has to give up getting or doing something they want because of the other partner's influence. So again, what we're focusing on here in terms of interpersonal conflict, the way that we're defining it here is really just that two people have two different outcomes that they want. And somehow or other, they're getting in the way of each other. So again, it does not require any sort of arguing, disagreement, fighting, nothing like that. Interpersonal conflict is just you want different things. Now, everyone will experience conflict in their relationships because any two people will occasionally differ in their moods and their preferences. No matter how compatible you are with your partner, no matter how alike you two are, you will sometimes have a good day when your partner has a bad day. You will sometimes have a different thing that you want. You will sometimes disagree about how to spend your money or how to spend your time. You might disagree on child rearing practices. You might disagree on whether you appreciate the way your partner takes care of the house. No matter how similar you are on some dimensions, there will always be some dimensions, at least temporarily, that you are different in. Now, there are certain tensions or dialectics that are woven into the fabric of close relationships that will always cause some strain. So you can think of dialectics as two forces pulling against each other. So you've got one thing holding on to a rope, and on the other side, you have the opposite holding onto the rope, and there's a tug of war. And you'll see what I mean by that in just a moment. So we're going to go into a discussion of dialectics now. And again, these are these tension systems where you've got two opposing forces that are trying to win. A dialectic is two opposing motivations. They can never be entirely satisfied because they contradict each other. So again, that gets at this idea that they're fighting each other. They're pulling one way or the other. You can also think of it as a tightrope or a balancing act. Sometimes one motivation will be more important or heavier, and sometimes the other will be. There are these two opposing motivations, and you can never completely get rid of this tension because you will always want both over a long enough course of time. One of the dialectics we're talking about is personal autonomy and close connection to others. Do you pursue intimacy or freedom? Independence or belonging? And of course, I have a picture here of Anna and Elsa because this is a great example of one of the dialectics that they have in their relationship, right? So Anna is constantly attempting to pursue intimacy. We could make the case that Elsa is attempting to pursue independence. It's more complicated than that if you've seen the movie, but they're seeking different things, constantly getting into conflict and almost dying because of this tension. There's also dialectical tension between openness versus closedness. So honesty, candor, and authenticity, or privacy, discretion, and restraint. And again, we have an excellent example here in Anna and Elsa from Frozen. Anna, I don't think, could tell a lie if it would save her life. She is completely open, completely honest, completely authentic. What she thinks or feels, she tells you. But Elsa kept this huge secret for over a decade and keeps herself closed off. She's the opposite of openness. Toward the end of the movie, as she becomes more open, she's much more reserved and hides her feelings more than Anna does. There's also dialectical tension between stability and change. In this case, I didn't have a good example of Anna and Elsa, so I have an example from the movie Tangled. This was right after Rapunzel made it out of her tower for the first time, and she flips back and forth between ecstasy at her new experience and then incredible anguish over the fact that she's a terrible daughter and she betrayed her mother. So the dialectic here is stability versus change. We relish novelty and excitement, but we also enjoy familiarity and constancy. You can think of a dialectic here where one person constantly wants to go out and do new things, and the other partner would really rather stay in a certain kind of routine. And this is not just between partners. Within one person, you can have this dialectic. It may be that on some days you want to do something new, but on other days you want to follow your routine. So this dialectic can lead to conflict in relationships, as one partner may want novelty and excitement at a time when the other partner would prefer routine. Finally, there's also a dialectical tension between integration with versus separation from a social network. The motive to stay involved with other people is sometimes at odds with the wish to devote oneself to a romantic partnership. Again, I have the Frozen cast here, and it's not so much that this is an excellent example this time, it's more just because that's my theme. We know that Elsa is her own person, but Anna really enjoys other people, likes to be with people, spends time with other people. So we have this dialectic here. One person would rather just walk around the castle alone, and another person wants everyone in all of Arendelle to visit them. So again, there's this conflict between Elsa wanting to stay away from people and Anna wanting to spend time with people. You see this a lot in dating relationships, where people try to navigate spending time together as a couple versus spending time with either their friends before they met their partner or trying to spend times with couple friends. Sometimes one partner prefers to stay with just the partner to a much greater extent than the other person. You might see that especially if you have an introvert paired with an extrovert. One person would rather just hang out with their partner, and the other person really wants a lot of social interaction. These four dialectics continue throughout the life of a relationship. So you'll see this over and over again. And the dilemmas posed by these fluctuating opposing motives in close relationships never really end.